So let's go. Breakdowns are the moments that you're gonna break the pattern of your drop, and these are essential for two reasons. First, essentially a song with only drops would be a little bit overwhelming. And second, the breakdown is the moment that you're gonna build your song and develop your story to make your song more interesting and to make your drop 2 more compelling as well. And the breakdown can be broken into 3 pieces: the start, the development, and the build-up. And that's what we're talking today, so you can make better breakdowns in your song as well. But I'm also thinking about making a video on 10 ways that you can make your breakdown more interesting. Would that be interesting to you? Let me know in the comments below, and let's get started with this video. Let's go. Let's begin over here with the start of the breakdown, and the first thing that we're gonna see is the slow pace breakdown. Essentially, instead of going directly from a really exciting drop to a really chill breakdown, we're going to add a bridge in the middle, which essentially is going to slow down the song a little bit and also fade out the drop so it goes a little bit chiller to the breakdown. Listen, for example, to this part of the drop from the song called Banya by Sultan and Shepard, as you can listen over here. You can see that at this part of the song is really aggressive and really open with the cutoff and everything. But when it moves to the breakdown, instead of going directly to the breakdown, it goes into a bridge, as you can listen over here. You can see now that most of the aggressive elements like snares, even the aggressive lead and even the ARP are now filtered, and essentially this slows down the pace of the drop and moves a little bit softly to the breakdown. This lasts for 16 bars, and after the end of the 16 bars, listen how they go to the breakdown. You can see that by the end of the bridge, everything is really calm and chill, so the transition to the breakdown, it's really smooth because the breakdown itself is really calm and chill. And that's something that you can also listen in other types of genres like melodic breaks, as you can listen in the song called Come Together by Marsh and Knox Vaughn. Listen how the drop ends. Everything again is really open and exciting. They even have a riser at the end of the drop, but now when they move to the breakdown, different than Sultan's songs, instead of fading the lead over here, they just take the kick out, and essentially this takes a little bit of the energy of that part, which essentially moves into the breakdown after 8 bars, and it sounds a little bit more like this. Listen by how the end of the bridge, they are a little bit chiller over there as well. Everything is filtered and everything just moves almost seamlessly to the breakdown. And this is really common, especially on melodic house and also organic house, because it softens the transition from an aggressive drop to a really chill and really calm breakdown. And that's something that you can apply to your songs whenever you want to make that kind of transition as well. But that's not the only kind of transitions that you can listen in melodic house as well. So let's go to our next point in this video. The complete breakdown is almost the same as the standard breakdown, but instead of having that bridge in the middle, the drop is going to go right away from an energetic part to something a little bit chiller and without anything. Listen, for example, to the song called Healer by Anna Moore, and listen how the drop goes straight from the drop to the breakdown without any kind of bridge. And the same happens in the song called Blossom by Jordan Post. Instead of going for a bridge where things will slow down and eventually you can lose your listener interest, you just go directly to the breakdown and make the song a bit more to the point and a bit more interesting as well. And because it makes the song a bit more to the point, a lot of more aggressive genres like melodic techno and also progressive house take advantage of this kind of start in the breakdowns because it just makes the song a little bit more energetic and also a little bit more fast-paced. Listen, for example, to the song called The Sign by Anima, and listen how the drop goes straight away to the breakdown without any pause and anything. You can see that without any advice, everything just ends without any filters, risers, or anything. Things just end and start the breakdown, and the cool thing is that the song keeps moving and also keeps it fast-paced. And you can listen to the same kind of breakdown in the song called Out of Reach by Yodo and Christoph. again, something really aggressive in the drop that goes to something really chill in the breakdown. And Yodo and Christoph also make the first 4 bars of this breakdown a little bit calmer to essentially cool down the song and cool down the people in the dance floor. But sometimes you want to slow things down, but you don't want to lose the vibe of the song as well. And that's something that you can do with the non-stop breakdown, as you're gonna see in our next point of this video. Some breakdowns don't fully stop, and essentially they feel like eternal bridges that begin in the start of the breakdown and move up to the build-up and then into the drop 2, almost as if there was no breakdown at all. Listen, for example, to the remix of In Memoriam by Tim Grin, and listen how the drop ends over here. You can see that the vibe of the song relies heavily on the percussion, and when we move over here into the breakdown, listen how all the percussion just remain intact in this song. The kick goes away, the bass goes away, but essentially the vibe's still going on in the song. And this technique is heavily used when you want to keep the groove and the vibe intact, even when you're moving to the breakdown. And you can later develop your breakdown even by keeping your percussions in there, or also by fading them out along the breakdown to essentially create some space and vibe so the drop 2 hits again. And you can listen to the same thing happening in a melodic house song by Bow to Divide called Wait For You, as you can listen over here. Listen how the drop ends. And now if you listen to the transition to the breakdown, see how essentially everything just remains the same, but he only takes out the kick from there. And if you listen to the middle of the breakdown, you're gonna see that all the percussions are still in there. He's essentially building on the song, but he didn't want to take the energy from the percussions in the song, and that's why he kept it in this way. So if you feel that your breakdown is losing too much energy when you take all the percussions out of it, or even when you end your bridge, consider leaving some percussions in there, even with some high or low cuts as well, essentially to keep the vibe and to keep the pace of the song going, and that sometimes does wonders to your songs. But now that you know how you can start your breakdown, how do you develop your breakdowns? And that takes us to our next point in this video. Now that you know how you can start your breakdowns, you also have to develop it in a way that goes from this cool down moment to something that builds up the energy for the drop 2 of your song. Listen, for example, how Ben Bomer starts his breakdown in the song called Beyond Beliefs. He starts the breakdown without any bridge, so it's a full stop breakdown, and essentially right away he adds a new element into the song that I call the triggering element, and you can listen to it more prominently in the second 8 bar of this breakdown over here. Can you listen to that? Essentially, that second lead is the triggering element of this breakdown, and it's a technique that is widely used by producers because by adding something new to the song, you're making the listener think, ooh, that's a new element and I haven't listened to that before, so let me see where it takes me. Now, in the third A bar of this breakdown, he develops the song even further by adding the lead and also the bass line of the song, as you can listen over here. And we can take a few lessons from what we just heard, and also by looking at Beyond Belief's project in Ableton. So first, you can see that he goes right away from the drop to the breakdown, and you can see that most importantly, he keeps the breakdown going by adding something new in every 8-bar loop, as something that I've mentioned in the 6 rules of melodic house video that I've just posted in this channel. Second thing, he adds the main lead and the bass line, as you can see it over here, to regain the energy and to regain the story that he was telling before the breakdown. And third, in the last 8 bar of this breakdown, he builds up this breakdown to the drop 2 with a lot of tension rising elements, or also by intensifying some elements, as you can listen over here. You can see some ear candy, some tension rising elements, and essentially he's building up the story and creating tension to make the listener interested and hooked, so he keeps the listener until the drop 2 of the song. But how can you make more effective buildups for your song? That's something that we're gonna cover in the next point of this video. Buildups are the most exciting part of your breakdown, and essentially they are there to create tension and raise the energy of your breakdown so it merges better with your drop, giving more energy and impact to the drop drop 2, which is the most exciting part of your song. The most common way of raising tension and creating a build-up in your song is by adding a snare roll, as you can listen in the song called Little Darling by Marsh. You can see how a snare roll and a drum fill created a lot of tension, and this made the drop a little bit better to listen to. But sometimes you can add a few more elements like risers and downfalls, essentially, creating a bit more of like a feeling into the song, and when the drop comes, it just feels like and it just releases all the tension that was created before the drop. You can also add a lot of reverb in your past elements, like you can listen in the song called Road by Lane 8. So you can listen to that, and this is really nice to create tension in your song, creating tension and releasing that tension over there. But you can also do pre-drops, which are essentially moments where you build your song and right after you have a moment of silence, like a lot of melodic techno songs do. Or you can add some melodic elements, like you can listen in the song called Come Together by Marsh and Knox Vaughn.
A happening, and everything is simply a happening.
You can see how the drum fills and the risers created the tension, and then it comes into a pre-drop, and if you keep on listening to this pre-drop,
Is watching it.
essentially he sucked up all the energy from the song, and this makes the drop 2 a little bit more impacting and essentially just releasing all that energy that the breakdown was carrying. Therefore, remember that your build-up is the moment where you're gonna create tension and expectation in your listener, and everything has to release in the start of the drop, as you can listen over here in the song called Life on Hold by Nora En Pure. But remember, because the intention is to make the drop 2 feel bigger, you can make your build-up bigger than the drop 2 itself. Listen, for example, to what happens when the build-up is bigger than the drop 2. The build-up was full and big, but the drop just felt a little bit like meh. And the same thing happens when we have the opposite situation. When you have a build-up that it's not so impacting and a drop that it's really impacting, everything can feel a bit abrupt if you don't build your song in the correct way. Listen, for example, to this song over here. Everything just comes right away out of nowhere, and it just feels a bit abrupt. And then you can ask me, Leo, how do I make build-ups? First, and the most common way that I learned how to do build-ups is essentially by copying how songs that I like were doing. Because I'm just copying the tension that this song is making, it doesn't feel like copying, you're just referencing what they're doing. Second, if you want to learn something a little bit more in depth and 10 ways that you can make your build-up more exciting, let me know in the comments below and I'll make a video about it. And third, you can also use leads to make your song a bit more exciting, and that's something that you can see in this video over here. Or if you just want to know how you can build a better story in your song, you can see this video over here about the 6 rules of melodic house. I hope that you liked the video, and I hope to see you soon in the next Abstrakt video. Cheers!